is the main character you play as in the first part of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. DLC level, Agent Melinda May. I always felt as though Ming-Na Wen was too good for this show, especially in the later seasons, and I think she knew it too. Anyway, Agent Melinda May is pretty useful in the level where you play as her, since you actually use all 4 abilities in the time you play as her. What are her 4 abilities? Well, I know this is a new part, but this is continuing the trend of the last 6 characters that I've covered. That's right, she has Scan, Agility, Shield, and Technology. Suffice to say though, it makes sense for Agent May to have all of these abilities, which can't be said for all of the characters with these 4 abilities, namely Dr. Helen Cho and Hope Van Dyne. Agent May deserves these abilities probably even more than Maria Hill does, I'd say, but I don't remember Maria Hill pulling the stunts that Agent May has numerous times. Continuing on with the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. DLC, we now have Agent Leopold Fitz, also known as the nerdy Scottish engineer one. There's only so much you can do with that type of character, so later on in the show, they had to get quite creative. Like in Season 4, in the framework of virtual reality where it makes you think you're living a totally different life, Fitz was essentially Madame Hydra's right-hand evil doctor. Yeah, dude. That's creativity. It might be a little stupid though. It's genuinely creative though. I'm not being sarcastic. Anyway, Agent Fitz has broken the streak of those female characters that were all given the same exact 4 abilities. Agent Fitz has a pretty similar ability set though. Agent Fitz still has Shield, Scan, and Technology. However, instead of Agility, it's swapped out for Repair, since he is an engineer. Personally, I think that the Repair ability might be more useful to have than Agility, simply because so many characters already have Agility. So if it's Agility being swapped out for Repair, I welcome it and I reward it with a higher ranking. Here's the first taste of Iron Man that we're getting in this series, and it's a little over a third of the way through. It's kind of surprising if you ask me. This is the suitless Tony Stark. Well, one of them at least. This is him in his standard clothes in Age of Ultron to be exact. Now it goes without saying that Tony Stark is kind of restricted without his trusty suit, so he's missing quite a few abilities when he is without one. Coincidentally enough, the abilities he's missing just happen to be some of his most useful ones in my opinion. Tony Stark without the suit is the exact same as the guy we just went over, Agent Leo Fitz. If you think about it, Tony Stark and Leo Fitz are pretty similar. Leo Fitz is just Scottish and also a S.H.I.E.L.D. shill, since S.H.I.E.L.D. gave him all of his tools. Tony Stark is a shill to himself though, so it evens out. So, as I hinted in the last segment, Tony Stark has 2 variants for some reason, and this is the one for the first Avengers movie. Well, this Tony Stark was also in the Iron Man 3 level, so this is a variant that's more represented in the game. Let's just say that's the reason why I placed this Tony Stark over the other, because I seemingly have no other reasons to place this Tony Stark above the Age of Ultron variant. Anyway, of course, this Tony Stark is no different to the Age of Ultron version with the same 4 abilities. Like I said, the Tony Starks and Agent Leo Fitz are all the same in this regard, though Tony Stark can technically change into other Iron Man suits, but according to the rules I set at the beginning of the series, the Iron Man suits will be individually ranked, aside from the Hulkbuster, which is just going to be exempt entirely from the list. If I did allow all the Iron Man suits to be one character, which, would be ridiculous, but if I did, all Iron Man suits as one character still wouldn't be enough to top the list, mostly because all Iron Man suits are pretty much the same, with some having the occasional quirk. But I'm getting ahead of myself here, so let's just move on. So, Ronin the Accuser is a character that has shown up in the MCU before this game's release, as the main antagonist in the first Guardians of the Galaxy film. He also showed up again in the Captain Marvel movie. But the Ronin in this game is not based on the MCU version, but rather the comics version. It's not the first time we've encountered this type of situation, but it's still pretty weird nonetheless. Ronin in this game has a decent ability set, and most of them have to do with that trademarked hammer of his. Firstly, let's get regenerative health out of the way. It doesn't have anything to do with this hammer, but I figured we'd just, he has it. Now let's move on. But regarding the hammer, it emits this purple plasma that not only powers up generators with electricity, but can also melt gold bricks with the laser ability. Aside from electricity and laser, the hammer can smash cracked walls. You get this guy from one of those copy-paste boss fights in Manhattan. By copy-paste, I mean each fight is the exact same, just with a different character. The opponent tries to jump on you, you dodge, attack, rinse and repeat with the occasional button mesh. Ronin is one of these. Wow, who knew Nick Fury would have a whole other variant? Well, kind of, and also not really. Most of the main characters from the Avengers movies have two main variants, one from the first Avengers and one from Age of Ultron. Nick Fury is one of the exceptions to the rule. Nick Fury has his standard variant, and then there's this variant. The difference? Well, if you couldn't tell by the name, this Nick Fury has a bazooka. Other than his outlandish weapon, the two Nick Furies are the same. They both have shield technology and stealth. This bazooka variant of Nick Fury also has the explosive ability though, so the bazooka Nick Fury has 4 abilities while the regular one only has 3. That makes bazooka Nick Fury automatically better. The bazooka also makes combat immensely easier since you can just blow guys up in one shot as opposed to having to hit them or shoot them 4 times. Here's another one of those deep cuts in the old Marvel lore that they resurrected for this game. He originally showed up in an Avengers comic from 1970, and wow, it sure shows. Archon is from a planet that glorifies combat, and he is the champion of his world, or something. He wields a lightning bolt in this game, so it might lead you to believe that he might have something like electricity as an ability, right? Wrong. This lightning bolt of his actually explodes silver objects. I'll just say I wasn't expecting that when I initially tried this guy out, but in addition to the explosive ability, Archon has 3 other abilities. The other ability of Archon that might come as a shock is cracked wall. I mean, I can see by his pecs that he's strong, but not cracked wall strong. Oh, and Archon also has agility and regenerative health. All in all, though, Archon is definitely here just to flesh out the roster to make up for a lack of X-Men, Fantastic Four, and Spider-Man characters. Blazing Skull? I'm sorry, what kind of name is this? Blazing Skull is probably what my mom would say if I showed her a picture of Ghost Rider. We know that Marvel Studios had the rights to Ghost Rider at the time of this game's release, so where is he? I heard that Ghost Rider was on Marvel's quote-unquote blacklist for characters that were supposed to never be in an MCU film, though I honestly don't know the validity of that rumor. Well, Ghost Rider did show up on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but it was the Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider, the one with the car, and not Johnny Blaze, aka Nicolas Cage on a motorcycle. Turns out Blazing Skull first appeared way back in 1940, back when Marvel was primarily making comics that supported the USA's war efforts, which is also how Captain America came to be. In the cover of the comic for Blazing Skull's first appearance, there's a dude straight up kicking a Nazi in the face. All of this to say that Blazing Skull is actually 30 years older than Ghost Rider since his first appearance was in 1972. So that's honestly kind of interesting, I guess. Blazing Skull has 4 abilities, and they are agility, laser, fire immunity, and regenerative health. For a guy covered in fire, I'm surprised he can't fly like the original Human Torch, but that's neither here nor there. I've come to a conclusion that while a lot of Marvel characters interact with each other, there are quite a few pockets of characters. Spider-Man has a pockets of his villains and supporting characters. X-Men have their own pocket of mutants and whatnot. Avengers has a huge pocket consisting of its own little sub-pockets. Of those Avengers sub-pockets, Hank Pym and his many aliases and cohorts are a surprisingly big sub-pocket within the Avengers pocket, if that makes sense. How many superhero aliases has Hank Pym had at this point? A lot of those characters are represented in this game. This is Black Goliath, who worked closely with Hank Pym and even adopted his Goliath alter ego, but put black in front of it because, well, he's black. This dude has the abilities you would expect from the big brain characters to have, such as technology, scan, and repair. In addition to those 3 abilities, Black Goliath can grow big. In fact, that's like his whole thing. But as I've said time and time again, growing big isn't very useful in this game, though it does look pretty cool. Egghead is yet another one of those characters that really shouldn't be in this game, but they needed to fill up the roster. Egghead is just a gremlin genius guy with an oblong head, if you can't tell by his name. Egghead was even the villain of the Ant-Man DLC in LEGO Marvel Superheroes 2. He's just an overall wacky guy who occasionally shows up to stir the pot, you know what I'm saying? Egghead has 4 abilities, and it all has to do with that big brain I was talking about in the Black Goliath segment. Egghead shares the scan, repair, and technology abilities that Black Goliath had, but switches out being able to grow with explosive eggs. So naturally, with Egghead having the explosive ability, an extremely useful ability, and not size, which is an ability that's only useful when small, which Black Goliath can't do, I'm obligated to rank Egghead above Black Goliath.